Welcome, welcome, precious gospel kindred. We are happy you to meet and make you freely welcome. Welcome, welcome, precious gospel kindred. We are happy you to meet and make you freely welcome. By the cords of union pure, our hearts are bound together, and the love we bear to you no friendship e'er can sever. By the cords of union pure, our hearts are bound together, and the love we bear to you no friendship e'er can sever.
The United Society of Believers in Christ's Second Appearing, also known as the Shakers, are a celibate millennial sect founded in the 18th century by the English prophet Anne Lee, known to believers as Mother Ann. At their peak, they numbered about 5,000. Today, there are 3. The following song about Mother Ann Lee by Shaker elder Richard McNamara of Kentucky was published in the 1812 hymnal Millennial Praises. You will notice that many Shaker songs refer to love. This is not eros, that is, sexual or romantic love. That love imprisons us with lust and sin. Shaker love is agape, brotherly and sisterly love. The Shaker strives to love God, to love Mother Ann, and to love their Shaker brothers and sisters. Brother Arnold Had is one of the Shakers currently living at Sabbath Day Lake, Maine. He recounts an incident early in his Shaker life in which he butted heads with one of his Shaker brothers. A Shaker elder told him, "You don't have to like him, but you do have to love him." When this song refers to Hudson's lovely bay, McNamara means the bay by the Hudson River in New York, not the huge bay in Canada. Among today's Shakers, Mother is sung on the 6th of August, the anniversary of Anne Lee's arrival in America. In Manchester, in England, this blessed fire began, and like a flame in stubble, from house to house it ran. A few at first received it, and did their lust forsake, and soon this inward power brought on a mighty shake. The rulers cried, "Delusion! Who can these Shakers be? Are these the wild fanatics bewitched by Anne Lee? We'll stop this noise and shaking, it never shall prevail. We'll seize the grand deceiver and thrust her into jail." Before their learned councils, though oft she was arraigned, her life was uncondemned, her character unstained, and by her painful travels, her sufferings and her toil, a little church was formed on the European soil. This little band of union in apostolic life remained a while in England among the sons of strife, till the Columbian eagle, borne by an eastern breeze, conveyed this little kingdom across the rolling seas. To mark their shining passage, good angels flew before, towards this land of promise, Columbia's happy shore. Hail thou, hail thou,
Victorious gospel.
victorious gospel, and the auspicious day. Sorry. When Mother safely landed in Hudson's lovely bay. At Albany they settled and waited for a while, until a mighty shaking made all the desert smile. At length a gentle whisper the tidings did convey, and many flocked to Mother to learn the living way. Through storms of persecution, the truth she did maintain, and showed how sin was conquered, and how we're born again. The old corrupted nature from place to place she trod, and showed a new creation, the only way of God. About 4 years she labored with the attentive throng, confirmed the young believers, and helped their souls along. At length she closed her labor and vanished out of sight, and left the church increasing in the pure gospel light. How much are they deceived who think that mother's dead? She lives among her offspring who just begin to spread, and in her outward order there's one supplies her room, and still the name of mother is like a sweet perfume. I love that testimony that shows me what to do. I love my precious mother. I love the elders too. The brethren and the sisters, I love them and their ways. And in this loving spirit, I mean to spend my days. The brethren and the sisters, I love them and their ways. And in this loving spirit, I mean to spend my days.
So Anne Lee and her initial group of 8 converts arrived in the soon-to-be USA in 1774, and they traveled up the Hudson and built a village at Niskayuna near Albany. On the dark day of May 19th, 1780, while the sun was blotted out by a huge smoke cloud, Anne Lee preached for the first time to a worldly audience. When the Shakers say worldly people, they mean everyone who isn't a Shaker. Some worldly people came to believe in Anne Lee's message of chastity, simplicity, and love, and her assertion that the apocalypse would happen any day now. She and her followers traveled to preach across New England and New York and made many converts. They also made enemies. Since they were a mysterious cult that led spouses to abandon their marriages and live a chaste, egalitarian life, treating each other as siblings, they were a threat to normal power structures: government, church, family, gender hierarchy, private property. The Shakers were accused of everything from being devil worshippers and sex criminals to nudists and traitors to the new United States. Anne Lee, or Mother Anne, or Anne the Word as she was calling herself by this point, was attacked on many occasions by hostile mobs, along with her followers. She was also imprisoned in both England and in the New World. The next song is about a time in Manchester when she was placed in solitary confinement in prison for blasphemy. She was starved. The Shakers say she was deprived of food and drink for 2 weeks. Her young follower, James Whittaker, kept her alive by putting the long stem of a clay pipe through the keyhole at night and pouring milk and wine in for her to drink. This next hymn came to the Shakers in 1842, long after her death, but in their words, it was sung through an instrument. Please note that term instrument. You'll hear it again, meaning the song was sung by a Shaker who was channeling the spirit of Anne Lee. How can I but love my dear faithful children, who are willing to bear and suffer with me? When I was on earth and in a cold prison, I cried to my God to remember poor me. When I was on earth and in a cold prison, I cried to my God to remember poor me. I prayed to God to protect my dear children, to strengthen the weak and comfort the strong. For I was distressed and in a stone prison, and none but my God to protect me from harm. When I was distressed and in a stone prison, and none but my God to protect me from harm.
Dance and movement were a critical element of Shaker practice from Anne Lee's days in Manchester, England. Her early spiritual passion manifested as twitching and jerking, and her followers did the same. Thus, the world derided them as Shakers. Eventually, the believers themselves embraced the term, reclaiming it from their detractors. Most early Shaker songs had no lyrics. Instead, they used repeated nonsense syllables called vocables. The dancing that became common in Shaker worship required a rhythm, and songs without words provided a rhythm without the need for instrumental accompaniment. Compare the mouth music or lilting in Celtic tradition, or nigunim in Jewish tradition, in which a standard set of nonsense syllables is used for the same purpose. In 1783, a mob attacked the Shakers in the towns of Shirley and Harvard, Massachusetts. The mob captured and whipped Mother Ann's brother William Lee and her English follower James Whittaker. Mother Ann escaped by hiding in a small room at the home of a follower who pushed a bureau against the door to hide it. Father James Whittaker sang this song after he was whipped during the mob's attack. Lodel low, lodel 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 low, lodel low, 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 lodel low, lodel 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 low, lodel low. Lodel low, lodel 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 low, lodel low, 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 lodel low, lodel 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 low, lodel low.
Anne Lee died in 1784, venerated by her by then hundreds of followers. They bought land, built villages, and created rules for a celibate communal life together. They called this gathering into order.
Sorry.
It's okay. One of their leaders in this process was James Whittaker. As we mentioned, he'd come from England as Mother Anne's disciple and part of her original 8. By the time of his death in 1787, he was revered as Father James Whittaker, and Shaker elders continue to be called Mother and Father. This song is about union. You'll notice that many of the Shaker villages have union in their names, as the inhabitants were meant to be at one in their love for each other. According to Sister Frances Carr of Sabbath Day Lake, Maine, who joined the Shakers at the age of 10 and lived from 1927 to 2017, the modern Shakers sing this on the first day of spring. In yonder valley there grows sweet union. Let us arise and take our fill. In yonder valley there grows sweet union. Let us arise and take our fill. The winter's past, and the spring appeareth. The turtle dove is in our land. In yonder valley there grows sweet yonder valley there grows sweet union. Let us arise and take our fill.
Waves of Christian revival swept across Ohio and Kentucky around the year 1800. Oh my goodness, I forgot to
What's the matter?
forgot to post in the chat a link to the lyric sheet, which everybody should have already had.
Well, why don't we take a second now and do it?
Okay, I'll do that now.
And while you do that, I'll just vamp. I have been to the, I have been, what's the matter?
Oh, my browser went out on me. Okay. Sorry about that.
So a little about myself. My reason for being interested in the Shakers initially was that I had fallen hard for the hymns without having much of a sense that the Shakers were different than the Quakers, for example. I think a lot of people go through that. And in 2011, I was finishing a degree in history, which I had pretty much just blundered into because history is fun, at UMass Amherst. And I got the job of my dreams right out of school as an interpreter at Hancock Shaker Village, which was pretty much the most intense learning, one of the most intense learning experiences I have ever had, and one of the best. I learned all sorts of things about the Shakers. I learned all sorts of things about museum sciences, on spending time with large numbers of people who are there to have a good time or be educated. And until they ran out of budget and laid me off 3 months later, along with a lot of the rest of the staff, it was a very happy time. And I've always looked back on it fondly. Okay.
Okay.
Have you got what we need?
I have posted in the chat a link to the PDF in Google Drive, which should have the lyrics.
Okay, it's there if you want it, folks, but if you want to continue just looking at our excellent fashion choices, then you should do that, and the lyric sheet will be there for you later.
Okay.
Where were we?
Waves of Christian revival swept across Ohio and Kentucky around the year 1800. The Shakers were at this point based in New England and upstate New York. They sent missionaries to Ohio and Kentucky and gathered converts into new villages there. As in the East, worldly people were offended by the fact that Shakers were adults living together as celibate siblings and raising children communally. Even more shocking, they danced when they worshiped God. Dancing was regarded as immoral by a lot of worldly people, and dancing in prayer even worse. Shakers, however, had biblical references to dancing by the godly. This song, written by Richard McNamara, was originally called Shiloh and collected in Millennial Praises, published at Hancock, Massachusetts. It defends dancing by alluding to Moses' sister Miriam dancing after the Israelites fled from Egypt, as well as the annual dance of the virgins at Shiloh in the book of Judges.
The Israelites, when they got free from Pharaoh's land, in haste did flee, and on the banks of the Red Sea a joyful scene commenced. An elder sister led the band with sounding timbrel in her hand, while virgins ruled by her command, and after her they danced. At Shiloh was a yearly feast where virgins met from west to east. Those virgins were a type at least of those that followed Jesus. If they went forth with dances, then why should our dancing now offend? Since from the filthy lust of men our blessed Savior frees us. When God sent forth his only Son, and full redemption was begun, from east to west believers run to see the great Messiah. And when they felt his healing ray, they followed him along the way, and joyfully did skip and play like Shakers in Ohio. Shaker worship involved mass dances called laboring. Brethren and sisters were apart from one another, but still dancing together, in that men were facing women across the hall or marching in separate lines, matching and mirroring actions. Between dances, there would be breaks for short songs and prayers and individual dancing. Until the late 19th century, at least, there were no musicians among the Shakers. The reasoning was that might have made the instrumentalists have inflated opinions of themselves, or have to take too much time away from their daily work and their religious observance to practice. So dance was accompanied only by unison singing. This is a quick dance composed by Elder Issachar Bates at New Lebanon, New York in 1835. It's referring to the second book of Samuel, where King David dances before the Ark of the Covenant. Please note our hand motions, which have survived because they appear in art by worldly people depicting Shaker dancing. Now, admittedly, learning a dance move from a still image that was aiming to shock and amuse the audience is a tricky business. But we can make educated guesses based on the evidence. Come life, Shaker life, come life eternal, shake, shake out of me all that is carnal. Come life, Shaker life, come life eternal, shake, shake out of me all that is carnal. I'll take nimble steps, I'll be a David, I'll show Michael twice how he behaved. I'll take nimble steps, I'll be a David, I'll show Michael twice how he behaved. Come life, Shaker life, come life eternal, shake, shake out of me all that is carnal. Come life, Shaker life, come life eternal, shake, shake out of me all that is carnal. I'll take nimble steps, I'll be a David, I'll show Michael twice how he behaved. I'll take nimble steps, I'll be a David, I'll show Michael twice how he behaved. Come life, Shaker life, come life eternal, shake, shake out of me all that is carnal. Come life, Shaker life, come life eternal, shake, shake out of me all that is carnal. I'll take nimble steps, I'll be a David, I'll show Michael twice how he behaved. I'll take nimble steps, I'll be a David, I'll show Michael twice how he behaved. If we were doing that at Hancock Shaker Village, you would get the full marching up and down en masse and being forced to stand up and join in by me and whoever else was interpreting that day. So one day my day will come again.
Shakers actively try to be simple and childlike, abandoning self-importance, being willing to bend to God's will, and unafraid of the world's ridicule. Communal life involves shared bedrooms, workshops, and dining rooms. Living together in large groups requires humility and brotherly and sisterly love. Otherwise, personal friction can tear the community apart. This song comes from the South Union, Kentucky community near Bowling Green around 1834.
Love is little, love is low, love will make our spirits grow. Love is little, love is low, love will make our spirits grow. Grow in peace, grow in light. Love will do the thing that's right. Grow in peace, grow in light. Love will do the thing that's right. Shakers didn't marry or have children. They were and are an enlistment-only society. That was the point from the beginning, that they would gather the faithful together and keep busy and happy until the imminent end of the world. To gather in more potential members of the faithful, the Shakers opened their services to worldly people. Some came to mock, a few converted, and most simply came for dinner and a show. This song comes from the manuscript of Clarissa Jacobs of New Lebanon in 1847. Sister Frances Carr said that the song is often sung to introduce a gift of joy. You'll hear the term gift a lot. A song brought to the believers by a spirit was a gift song, and a divinely inspired urge to do something is a gift of that thing. Sweeping, laughing, dancing.
Oh, brethren, ain't you happy?
Oh, brethren, ain't you happy? Oh, brethren, ain't you happy? Ye followers of the Lamb. Sing on, dance on, ye followers of Emmanuel. Sing on, dance on, ye followers of the Lamb.
Oh, sisters, ain't you happy?
Oh, sisters, ain't you happy? Oh, sisters, ain't you happy? Ye followers of the Lamb. Sing on, dance on, ye followers of Emmanuel. Sing on, dance on, ye followers of the Lamb.
I'm glad I am a shaker. I'm
Glad I am a shaker. I'm glad I am a shaker, ye followers of the Lamb. Sing on, dance on, ye followers of Emmanuel. Sing on, dance on, ye followers of the Lamb.
I'll cross my ugly nature.
I'll cross my ugly nature. I'll cross my ugly nature, ye followers of the Lamb. Sing on, dance on, ye followers of Emmanuel. Sing on, dance on, ye followers of the Lamb.
I mean to be obedient.
I mean to be obedient. I mean to be obedient, ye followers of the Lamb. Sing on, dance on, ye followers of Emmanuel. Sing on, dance on, ye followers of the Lamb. Sing on, dance on, ye followers of Emmanuel. Sing on, dance on, ye followers of the Lamb.
By the 1830s, Shakerism was full of people who had never met Ann Lee. Younger members, especially young women, started having visions of the spirit of Mother Ann. This ushered in the era of manifestations, or Mother's work. Mother's work bore some similarities to spiritualism out in the world. A spirit, not necessarily Mother Ann, would possess a shaker as an instrument who would bear messages. For example, a song might be received by an instrument rather than consciously written. Spirit messages and inspirations to action came to be referred to as gifts. Some instruments drew pictures of their visions, including the Tree of Life. Some spiritual gifts consisted of activities. John Van Valen of Hancock had what he called a bowl of love and union, with only one spoon, with which he fed his Shaker brothers and sisters. Young girls and women often received a spinning or whirling gift while dancing during worship. This harkened back to the early Shakers' original ecstatic repetitive motions. This song describes a gift of turning and of being simple. Simple Gifts is usually attributed to Elder Joseph Brackett of the Maine Ministry in about 1848. He sang it with his coat-tails flying.
'Tis the gift to be simple, 'tis the gift to be free, 'tis the gift to come down where we ought to be. And when we find ourselves in the place just right, 'twill be in the valley of love and delight. 'Tis the gift to be simple, 'tis the gift to be free, 'tis the gift to come down where we ought to be. And when we find ourselves in the place just right, 'twill be in the valley of love and delight. When true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend we shan't be ashamed. To turn will be our delight, till by turning we come round right. When true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend we shan't be ashamed. To turn will be our delight, till by turning we come round right. Shaker settlements did have indoor meeting spaces, but during Mother's work, they started holding outdoor services on hilltops, which they called feasting grounds. The feasts were spiritual and existed in the minds and hearts of those who attended. Hancock Shaker Village was near a hill they called Mount Sinai, with a fountain stone from which flowed water only believers could see. Shakers who worshipped there received spiritual gifts of fruit and flowers, and took baths with spiritual sponges and towels. This song is attributed to Issachar Bates or Richard McNamara, and it was printed in the collection Millennial Praises in 1812. It only seems to be about drinking alcohol. Drunkenness is a metaphor for being filled with the Spirit of God, and as in Muslim Sufi poetry, wine is a metaphor for the divine spirit. It's still worth noting that during the 19th century, as the temperance movement gained momentum, the Shakers backed away from using figures of speech about wine and drinking altogether. I have found the true vine and have tasted its wine, which has made me to stagger and reel. And to such it belongs to break forth into songs to express how delightful they feel. By a bountiful use of this heavenly juice, I forget all my sorrows and woes. Give me plenty of this, I want no other bliss, and I care not much how the world goes. And I care not much how the world goes. Since my sins I confess, some are greatly distressed, and lament how deluded I be. But with every fresh draught I have heartily laughed at their crocodile weeping for me. In my free, happy choice, I can daily rejoice in this blessed, holy way that I've chose. If they will not pursue, I shall bid them adieu, and I care not much how the world goes. And I care not much how the world goes. To promote Adam's seed for the flesh they may plead, but when they have said all that they can, like a true gospel heir, my full cross I will bear, and I'll put off the cursed old man. He may plead that he's bound to replenish the ground, but his lust or his motive he knows. Then I gladly retreat from this sin of deceit, and I care not much how the flesh goes. And I care not much how the flesh goes.
Okay. It was not after Mother Ann Lee's death that her followers spelled out in writing that she herself was the Christ's second appearing, referred to in the group's official name. Some Shaker songs make it clear that Mother Ann is Jesus's female counterpart, referring to the two as brother and sister, and even as bridegroom and bride, harking back to references to Jesus as bridegroom and extended metaphors in the New Testament referring to the bride. Shaker theology is not Trinitarian, but dual. God the Father is the male aspect of the divine source. The Holy Spirit is the female, sometimes referred to as Holy Mother Wisdom. Some of the songs in the 1812 hymnal Millennial Praises elaborate on this duality, with Jesus and Mother Ann Lee as the respective son and daughter of the eternal two in one, and even describing the fall of Adam and Eve as a division of what could have been a similarly eternal two in one. One hymn points out that as the fall of humankind was precipitated by a woman, it was logical that a woman embody the Christ principle that would lead to the regeneration of humankind in the millennium. Many hymns make passing reference to heavenly or divine parents, reflecting this unorthodox approach to Christology and the nature of God. However, the phrase first parents usually refers to Mother Ann when alive, her brother, Father William Lee, and their earliest successors, such as Father Joseph Beecham and Mother Lucy Wright. This song, written down in his hymnal by Elder Otis Sawyer at Sabbath Day Lake, Maine, in the 19th century, refers to Jesus and Mother Ann as the heavenly bride and groom.
How lovely are the faithful souls who keep the gospel treasure, and in their youthful days reject all carnal joys and pleasure. How lovely are the faithful souls who keep the gospel treasure, and in their youthful days reject all carnal joys and pleasure. They are like branches in the bloom, or like a pleasant flower, joined to the heavenly bride and groom. They're blessed with holy power. They are like branches in the bloom, or like a pleasant flower, joined to the heavenly bride and groom. They're blessed with holy power. The Shaker vision of work. Work was a form of worship itself. As Mother Ann had said, hands to work, hearts to God. The villages were farms and manufacturing centers, and the Shakers all had to do their part in some way. They planted and harvested crops, ground grain, spun thread, wove wool and linen, kept bees, and at least at Hancock Shaker Village, mined iron ore. In some ways, they were sweatshopping their own labor, working long hours for little individual reward. But they didn't reject modern technology or efficiency. Shakers invented the circular saw and the institutional-sized washing machine. Shaker women have spun, knitted, and woven throughout the life of the organization. And in addition to the reasons that any pre-modern women might do those crafts, for example, to clothe themselves and their families, selling clothes to worldly people has long been an important income stream for the Shakers. They made stockings, gloves, and aprons to sell. And from the 1870s through the 1940s, at least, the Shaker cloak was designed and created by Shaker women. It was worn as an opera cloak by worldly women. Mount Lebanon's sister Emma J. Neal trademarked her cloak design under the name the E.J. Neal Company, and sales of the cloak helped the Mount Lebanon Shakers get out of debt. In an interview with the Maine Textile Women's Folk Art Project in 1992, Sister Meg Haskell of Sabbath Day Lake sings the following song. Sister Frances Carr calls it the Weaver's Song, but I would say it's describing the actions of spinning, where God is the all-powerful mother and craftsperson. I learned to spin on a drop spindle when I was at Hancock Shaker Village, and produced a small amount of lumpy but very satisfying yarn, but women who were making industrial quantities of yarn would have used spinning wheels. Round around our mother's blessing goes round, round the world around. Round around our mother's blessing goes round, round the world around. Round around our mother's blessing goes round, round the world around. Round around our mother's blessing goes round, round the world around. Twisting strands of love and union into life eternal blessed. Mother's hand is on the spindle, turning us to peace and rest. Twisting strands of love and union into life eternal blessed. Mother's hand is on the spindle, turning us to peace and rest.
The Shaker path is an ongoing struggle against the devil, who is egotism, violence, greed, lust, and lack of brotherly and sisterly love. By letting go of sin, one can win freedom from the devil's snares. This song from 1868 comes from Union Village, Ohio, between Cincinnati and Dayton. The lyrics are by Ezra T. Leggett with a tune by Susanne M. Brady.
Oh, brighter than the morning star is the heart that's pure and free, and the light that's ever glowing there, the star of purity. The sun may wane, the stars go down, and reign of time be o'er, but the living light in the heart that's pure shall shine forevermore. The gems within the ocean deep, and the wealth her caverns bear, let the ocean and her caverns keep from darkness hidden there. But, O Almighty Father, send thine angels from above to kindle in my heart a fire of purity and love. The goal in Shakerism is to be little and low. That includes throwing yourself into your work, no matter how menial, and taking pleasure in simple things without worrying about looking childish. The idea was to be childlike in a good way. Humble, loving, full of wonder, and fearless because of the powerful and righteous protection of Mother Ann Lee. Melissa Sewell of New Lebanon received this song about the year 1869. Again, we're going to do hand motions shown in illustrations of the Shakers dancing, and you'll see one motion here that shows up in a lot of the art, paddling with the palms of the hands downwards. It may have been exaggerated in the illustrations as satire, but it shows up so often that worldly artists can't just have invented it wholly. Yielding and simple may I be, like the pliant willow tree, humble in heart, pure and free, pride and bondage spurning. Yielding and simple may I be, like the pliant willow tree, humble in heart, pure and free, pride and bondage spurning. Heavenly zephyrs around me blow, gently sway to and fro, cause my soul in truth to grow, and from wrong be turning. Heavenly zephyrs around me blow, gently sway to and fro, cause my soul in truth to grow, and from wrong be turning.
Visions of Mother Ann waned after the 1840s, but gift songs continued to be received. This one was received by Sister Paulina Springer of Alfred, Maine in 1887. She said she learned it from a little bird. She later passed this song on to Mildred Barker, who had been placed with the Shakers as a child by her widowed mother. Sister Paulina died when Mildred was about 10 years old. On her deathbed, she asked Mildred to sign the covenant and become a Shaker when she came of age. Sister Mildred, who died in 1990, remarked on how the fame of Shaker chairs and other goods had overtaken the reputation of Shakers as a living faith. She said, "I don't want to be remembered as a piece of furniture."
Mother has come with her beautiful song, ho, ho, tally-me-ho. Mother has come with her beautiful song, ho, ho, tally-me-ho. She's come to bless her children dear, ho, ho, tally-me-ho. And Christ your Savior will be near, ho, ho, tally-me-ho. She's come to bless your children dear, ho, ho, tally-me-ho, and Christ your Savior will be near, ho, ho, tally-me-ho. Shakerism is an ongoing task to take on rather than a state that you achieve once and then you're set forever. I've heard Brother Arnold Had talk about it in public addresses in words similar to those in this next song. Also, to talk about the dance moves that go with this next one, many Shaker dances only survive today in the Shaker's own special dance notation. Others are lost or appear only in still images, as we've said. But Sister Mildred Barker was filmed making the gestures that accompany this song, so this is a rare instance of a song that you can learn the gestures for as well as the words and tune, and you can learn them straight from a Shaker rather than from a hostile worldly description because the Shaker is on YouTube. D.A. Buckingham, the principal musician at Watervliet, New York, received this song in 1845.
With a new tongue I now will speak, and keep the valley lowly. I'll watch my thoughts and words this week, and have them pure and holy. Old cross and crabbit I will shun, they make one feel so ugly. I'd rather speak with mother's tongue, and keep her blessing snugly. After the death of the last male Shaker of Hancock, the senior sisters at Canterbury, New Hampshire, closed the books. There would be no more converts admitted to the Shakers, and the faith would die when they did. But the Sabbath Day Lake Village kept their books open, inviting new converts after some years' hiatus in the 1970s. There are 3 Shakers today: Sister June Carpenter, the eldest, Brother Arnold Had, and Brother Andrew Domine, who joined in 2018. After the pandemic severely curtailed their contact with the public for some time, Shaker services led by Brother Arnold and Sister June are open to worldly people as of old. Brother Arnold sometimes works with historians such as the Boston Area Shaker Study Group, including over Zoom, and posts regular services and talks on Vimeo. The following song was written and sung by New Lebanon Shakers to thank their hosts when they were departing Hancock after a long visit. Farewell, dear cross-bearers, the time has now come for us to be parted and go to our home. We thank you most kindly for this interview, and when we are parted, we will pray for you. But oh, what a meeting we've you on before, where parting shall never be known anymore. We give you our hand, and we freely declare that we will be faithful and all meet you there.